The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, often referred to as Rech Pospolita, was a dual-state union formed by the Kingdom of Poland and the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. It lasted from 1569 until its final partition in 1795. The Commonwealth was a unique political entity in Europe, characterized by its elective monarchy, decentralized governance, and a political system that gave significant power to the nobility. This system, known as the Golden Liberty, distinguished the Commonwealth from the more centralized monarchies of Western Europe. The Rech Pospolita was one of the largest and most populous states in Europe during its existence, playing a crucial role in the political, military, and cultural history of Eastern and Central Europe. Origins and formation. The formation of the Commonwealth was the culmination of centuries of cooperation and conflict between Poland and Lithuania. The Union of Kreuo in 1385 was the first significant step towards the union, establishing a dynastic bond between the two nations through the marriage of the Polish Queen Jadwiga and the Lithuanian Grand Duke Jogaila, who became King Władysław II Jagiello of Poland. This was motivated by the common threat posed by the Teutonic Knights, who were pressing both Poland and Lithuania from the north. Over the next 2 centuries, the two states operated in close cooperation, often ruled by the same monarch but maintaining separate institutions and armies. The Union of Lublin in 1569 formalized the relationship into a more integrated federal system. Under this agreement, Poland and Lithuania retained their own laws, armies, and treasuries but shared a common monarch, parliament, and foreign policy. The Commonwealth was a significant European power, with territory that stretched from the Baltic Sea in the north to the Black Sea in the south and from the Holy Roman Empire in the west to the borders of Muscovy in the east. Political system. The Golden Liberty. The Rech Pospolita's political system was based on the principles of Golden Liberty, which was an early form of parliamentary democracy, although one restricted to the nobility. The nobility, or szlachta, represented about 10% of the population, an unusually high percentage compared to other European countries where aristocrats made up a much smaller portion of the populace. The szlachta enjoyed a high degree of political power, including the right to elect the king in a free election, and their consent was required for any major decision affecting the state. The king's powers were severely limited, making the monarchy more of a ceremonial role rather than a true executive authority. The Sejm, or parliament, was the primary political institution. It consisted of 2 chambers, the Senate, made up of high-ranking officials and the king's advisors, and the Chamber of Deputies, elected by the szlachta. The Sejm sessions were often characterized by fierce debates, and the passage of any law required unanimous consent, a concept known as the liberum veto. This principle, while intended to protect the individual rights of nobles and prevent tyranny, eventually led to significant dysfunction in the governance of the Commonwealth. A single noble could block legislation, sometimes leading to a complete paralysis of the political system. Economy and society. The economy of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was largely agrarian, with a significant portion of the land owned by the nobility. The vast estates of the magnates, the wealthiest class of nobility, were worked by serfs, who were bound to the land and had few rights. This feudal system created a stark divide between the nobility and the peasantry, which constituted the majority of the population. Although urban centers such as Krakow, Gdansk, and Warsaw were important commercial hubs, the cities never attained the same level of economic or political influence as those in Western Europe. Trade was a vital part of the Commonwealth's economy, especially the export of grain. Poland-Lithuania became known as the breadbasket of Europe, supplying much of the continent with grain. Rivers such as the Vistula and the Dniester served as key transport routes for moving goods to the Baltic Sea, where they were shipped to Western Europe. This trade enriched the nobility but also reinforced the feudal system, as it relied heavily on the labor of serfs. Despite the wealth of the nobility, the Commonwealth was not a highly urbanized or industrialized state. Its economy remained largely agrarian throughout its existence, and its social structure did not allow for the development of a strong middle class. Towns and cities were home to a significant population of burghers, many of whom were of German or Jewish origin, but they had little political power in the Commonwealth's system of governance. Religious tolerance and multiculturalism. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Rech Pospolita was its relative religious tolerance, particularly in an era marked by the Protestant Reformation, Catholic Counter-Reformation, and religious wars across Europe. The Commonwealth was home to a wide variety of religious communities, including Roman Catholics, Eastern Orthodox Christians, Protestants, especially Calvinists and Lutherans, and Jews. The nobility, while predominantly Catholic, often embraced a policy of tolerance, as exemplified by the Warsaw Confederation of 1573, which guaranteed religious freedom for nobles. This tolerance extended to the Jewish population, which flourished in the Commonwealth. Poland-Lithuania became a center of Jewish life in Europe, with large communities in cities such as Krakow, Lviv, and Vilnius. The Jewish population was granted significant autonomy, and Jewish culture thrived in the Commonwealth. The region became known for its yeshivas and religious scholarship, and by the 18th century, it was the heart of the Hasidic movement. The multicultural nature of the Commonwealth was also reflected in its population, which included Poles, Lithuanians, Ukrainians, Belarusians, Germans, Jews, and Tatars, among others. Each group had its own language, customs, and legal traditions. The Lithuanian and Ruthenian nobility were gradually Polonized, adopting Polish language and culture, but the non-Polish regions retained their distinct identities throughout the Commonwealth's history. Military and foreign relations. The Commonwealth faced constant challenges on its borders, as it was surrounded by powerful and often hostile neighbors, including the Ottoman Empire, Russia, Sweden, and the Habsburg monarchy. The Commonwealth's military was based on a mix of heavy cavalry, including the famous winged hussars, and infantry. The winged hussars became legendary for their role in key victories such as the Battle of Kirchheim in 1605 against Sweden and the Battle of Vienna in 1683, where they helped to defeat the Ottoman forces besieging the city. The Commonwealth's foreign policy was often shaped by its geographical position between East and West. It was involved in numerous conflicts, including the Livonian War against Muscovy, the Deluge, a Swedish invasion in the mid-17th century, and repeated wars with the Ottoman Empire. The Commonwealth also played a significant role in the Cossack uprisings, particularly the Khmelnytsky Uprising of 1648, which challenged Polish authority in the eastern regions and was a major factor in the eventual weakening of the state. Decline and fall. The decline of the Commonwealth began in the late 17th century and accelerated throughout the 18th century. The political system, with its emphasis on noble privilege and the liberum veto, became increasingly dysfunctional. The inability to reform the system, combined with constant wars, economic stagnation, and external pressures, weakened the state. The magnates, or the highest-ranking nobility, often pursued their own interests rather than those of the Commonwealth, and foreign powers began to intervene in its internal affairs. One of the most significant foreign influences was Russia, which became increasingly involved in Polish politics during the reign of Catherine the Great. Russia, Prussia, and Austria saw the weakening Commonwealth as an opportunity to expand their own territories. In a series of 3 partitions, in 1772, 1793, and 1795, these powers divided the Commonwealth among themselves, erasing Poland-Lithuania from the map of Europe. The last king of the Commonwealth, Stanislaw II Augustus, was forced to abdicate, and the once powerful state ceased to exist. Legacy of the Rech Pospolita. Although the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was dismantled at the end of the 18th century, its legacy lived on in various ways. The idea of noble democracy and the memory of the Commonwealth's multicultural and tolerant society became a powerful force in Polish and Lithuanian nationalism in the 19th century. During the partitions, Poland and Lithuania existed only as parts of foreign empires, Russia, Prussia, and Austria, but the memory of the Rech Pospolita inspired multiple uprisings and a desire for independence. In the 20th century, following World War I, both Poland and Lithuania regained their independence, although the relationship between the two countries was often strained due to territorial disputes. The idea of a federal union similar to the Rech Pospolita was briefly revived during discussions about the creation of a Central European Federation following World War II, but these plans were never realized. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth is remembered today as a fascinating experiment in early modern governance, a unique blend of monarchy, nobility, and parliamentary democracy. Its culture, politics, and legacy continue to influence both Poland and Lithuania, as well as their neighboring countries. The Commonwealth's system of noble democracy and its emphasis on individual rights, though flawed and ultimately leading to its downfall, has been studied as a significant example of early attempts at balancing power between the monarchy and the nobility. It also left an indelible mark on the legal and political traditions of the region. The multiculturalism and religious tolerance of the Commonwealth were also remarkable for their time, providing a relatively peaceful coexistence for a variety of ethnic and religious groups, even during periods of great upheaval in other parts of Europe. This diversity contributed to a rich cultural legacy that included achievements in literature, art, and science. Figures such as Mikołaj Ray, Jan Kochanowski, and later, Adam Mickiewicz, are among the literary giants who were influenced by the cultural environment of the Commonwealth. Additionally, the Commonwealth played a key role in shaping the geopolitical landscape of Central and Eastern Europe. Its interactions with Russia, the Ottoman Empire, and other neighboring states had far-reaching consequences for the balance of power in the region. Although the partitions of the Commonwealth in the late 18th century ended its existence as a state, the memory of its influence persisted. Both Poland and Lithuania continued to view the period of the Commonwealth as a golden age of political freedom and cultural flourishing. In conclusion, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was an extraordinary state that stood out for its unique political system, its relative religious tolerance, and its multicultural society. Despite its eventual decline due to internal dysfunction and external pressures, the Commonwealth left a lasting legacy in the history of Europe. The ideals of the Rech Pospolita, particularly its emphasis on the rights of the nobility and its attempts to balance monarchy with a representative parliament, have continued to resonate in the historical consciousness of Poland, Lithuania, and beyond.